Do you have favorite knitting tools? Or do you have projects that sometimes you struggle to know if they are actually going to go the way that you want? There's no perfect. There's no always knowing exactly. It's all practice and it's all best guess scenarios. And the more that we do it, and the more that we try things, the more that we experiment, the more assurance that we have that we are going to choose yarn and gauge and knitting needles or crochet hooks to make our projects turn out the way that we want. The only way to get there is doing it, right? There's been a lot of memes and videos and things lately that I've been seeing that are reiterating something that I have been teaching for years. And that is the concept that the process of trial and error requires errors. But I also want to help you to reframe errors. And I want you to help start thinking about them as just experiments and about as maybe just teaching tools. I'm Susie Quillen. I am your stitching coach. I'm the Empress of Yarn here at Perfectly Naughty, and I'm glad that you're here. And while you're here, and we're just getting started, I'm going to ask you to do all the YouTubey things and subscribe and like, do the super thanks, all those fun things. When you do super thanks and you buy me a cup of coffee, it encourages me to keep going. It also helps to provide the resources for me to keep providing this free content for you. And stick around to the end because I have another special thing to share with you at the end of this. So we're going to talk about part 6 of the vest project, and I'm going to hold it up and show you where we're at if I can hold it all up. All right, here it is. This is the left front. You can see, and here's where the pockets are. And that'll be like that. Once I get it all stitched in place, and that all gets held in place when we pick up the stitches around the opening. I've got the left front armhole shaping done, and it's all sitting over here on a stitch holder with its yarn attached to it because the instructions say to not cut the yarn. So I've attached some more yarn, and I'm currently working on the back, and I am working on the armhole shaping for the back until it reaches the same height as the left front, and then it gets folded and those two get seamed. And then I'll go and work the right front and seam it to the back and then move on to the next thing. So it's really coming along nice. So, and I've been really enjoying this project, and I'm going to come back and just say that I am so glad that I paused. If you remember, if you've been following along on this journey with me, I started with a really nice yak cotton blend yarn called soft yak in soft yak cotton. What is it called? Anyway, it's over there. And I really love it. And but I started getting a little bit nervous because I, in particular, was not liking the way that I was doing my increases and decreases in the side shaping. And I was also questioning the way that I was liking I actually did not think I was liking the way that the pocket was created. So I pulled it all out, and I got out some inconsequential yarn. This is some old acrylic sport weight, double stranded together, got me my gauge, and it's allowing me to use up my stash. I'm going to actually have a finished project when it's done. I did the smallest size for the practice one. It'll fit my granddaughters. They'll love it. They'll be excited to have it. I know that about them. They are stitch worthy, as is their mama. So I'm really thankful that I did all of that. Things that I have been learning and that have been helping me. So tips that I want to pass on to you. Inside the pattern book, I have one of these big sticky notes, and I have some that are bigger even, that have lines on them, but I only am using one of these right now. I have a sticky in there, and I'm writing notes to myself about what I want to do when I do the real version of my vest using my good yarn. And so that has been really helpful. What I started doing as well is where you do the armhole shaping on the front, you do some decreases, but then at a certain point, you're just knitting straight. And so I kept track of the number of rows that I knit straight so that they match on both sides. It isn't just an arbitrary X number of inches, because that can have some aspects of subjectivity to it. Did I measure that from right under the edge of the knitting needle? Did I have that stretched and pulled out, or sitting on my lap, or laying on a table? If I count the number of rows, I'm going to be much more sure that both sides are the same number of rows. And same thing with the back. I want that all to be even. So that was one thing that has really, really helped me, is making a lot of notes. If you don't want to write in your pattern book itself, use sticky notes or photocopy the pages and write on them so that you have good notes, especially if it's a project you think that you're going to do again. But in this application, when you're doing a right side and a left side and you're not making them at the same time, a right sleeve and a left sleeve, make sure that, did I just do that? Right sleeve, left sleeve. Anyway, do make sure that you make notes. Count the number of rows. This applies whether you're knitting or you are crocheting, okay? Count the number of rows and keep track of them. And on that note, we're going to talk about two of my favorite knitting tools, and that's row counters. And I have two different row counters here that I really love. And I love these because they were my grandmother's. And I love them because of the way that they work. So let's talk about how I am using two completely different row counters for this project. This row counter right here, I am using to keep track of the cable rows. Because the cable rows, you knit, the body is knit in reverse stockinette, and then the cable panel is knit in stockinette. It's knit, and reverse stockinette means that's all purl on the show side, and then stockinette is knit stitches on the show side. And then on the 10th row, you do the cable twist. So with this, I can just push this down and ta-da. And then once I get to 19 or 89 or whatever, I know that the next row is where I'm going to be crossing my cables. So I really, really like this. I can also use these on the sides to do that. But that little kid in me that likes the clicker, it's very satisfying to me to do that. And I like this. It doesn't get, if I toss it in my bag, it's not getting depressed. This is not, you actually have to be intentional to depress this. So I like that. I'm using this type of row counter or stitch counter, but a row counter really, to keep track of my shaping. And this is why I like this one. One, you could keep this on your knitting needle or your crochet hook if you want to. I don't, but you could. But what I like with this one is that I use this column over here to keep track of the row that I decreased on. And this one over here is the row in between, the rows in between. So, for instance, currently I do one decrease row and then I knit 3 rows straight. And then and this way I just go 1 decrease and then 1, 2, 3, 1 decrease. And then what I do is when I do the decrease row, I bring this back to 0. And then I go 1, 2, 3. And then the next one and 0 this side out again. And this is really helping me. And it might sound complicated, but here's the thing that I've learned is sometimes things that are really easy to do are difficult to describe or explain. Yeah. So those are the 2 things that I'm doing. And and the thing is that I'm having to do both of those things because they're tracking their thing independently, but they're happening simultaneously. So when I come to the end of a row, I'm clicking here and I'm turning the appropriate row on this one because the number of rows for the decreases is a different number of rows than the twist for the cable. And you've got to be able to keep track of both things that are going on and not get them mixed up. So this is the method that I'm using, and these 2 things are just super favorites of mine. I think I have both of these things in my Amazon store. I'll have to go back and double check on that. And if they're not there, I'll put them there. But I know I have one more of these in stock at perfectlynaughty.com. In the description for this video is a link to the Perfectly Naughty store, specifically to the clearance department. I have over 30 items in the clearance and closeout department right now, and shipping is included, just so you know. So things in there are discounted 30%, plus you get free shipping or shipping included, depending on how you want to see that, whatever makes you feel better. And so it's a really great way to grab these things. I have one more of these in stock. I think it's the green one. But these are super handy. Whether you knit or you crochet, you need these. All right. The next one I wanted to talk about was cable needles. I have on many, many occasions just simply used a double point needle to do cable crosses. It works really, really great. But I do like these. And the reason that I like them is that I can slip the stitches off. So in this case, I'm crossing 5 over 5. So I slip my 5 stitches off. I wriggle them down into this little dent and I can pull them forward. And it's not so big. It's smaller, so it doesn't get in my way. And then I can knit the 5 stitches. I don't have to transfer the stitches back onto the primary knitting needle because it is the same size as my knitting needle. That's not always the case. Do check your gauge. But in this case, this happens to be the same size. And then I can just wriggle them back up and knit directly off of this and keep going. saves me an extra step. I really like these ones. I have one more package of 3 of these in the clearance department. Again, the link to that is in the show notes below or in the video description. So pop over to the Perfectly Naughty clearance department and go shopping and get you some cool stuff. So there you go. So I like that. So that's 3 things that I love. Tools that I love for knitting. Here's another thing. It's crochet hooks. Okay, so if you've been following me for any amount of time, you know that I'm just kind of a crochet nerd anyway. I'm a crocheter who knits. I'm a very, very proficient knitter, but I'm an exceptional crocheter. I am at master level, though I have never taken the official mastery certification test. Yeah, that's okay. But a crochet hook. I have used this crochet hook so many times on this project. Because I'm holding 2 strands together, I've actually had a couple of times where I've been knitting along and I've either knit into only one of the strands and I've missed one, or what happened to me yesterday was I inserted my hook into both strands that were on the needle, but when I wrapped the yarn around to make the stitch, I only got one loop around there. And so I was able to, and then when I came back across the row, I was like, this looks really weird. What is happening? And then I realized what it was. I was able to ladder down the one stitch and just use my crochet hook to lift it back up. Every crocheter should have several crochet hooks to help them. They are a lifesaver for a lot of things. I love that. Okay, so there's that. And then the other very, very, very important thing that every knitter and every crocheter should have in their bag is a tape measure. I like this little round retractable one because it has my name on it. If you want one of these, order some regular priced yarn at perfectlynaughty.com. And if you're a new customer, if you're a first-time customer at perfectlynaughty.com, as long as I still have some, you're going to get one for free as a little bonus because I like you and I appreciate you. So there we have it, you guys. Those are some of my very favorite things. I have a couple of other things here that I want to chat about. I guess I don't. I have one other. These are things like pens and lip balm, but that's just life. I have to have pens and lip balm everywhere for all things that I do. Stitch holders. I didn't really talk about that in this too much, but I am using quite a few of them. These, again, were my grandmother's used, but they're like giant safety pins. These are still available. Again, another thing that I'm not remembering off the top of my head if those are in my Amazon store. I know that I do not have any in stock at perfectlynaughty.com right now, but I will go check the Amazon store and make sure that they're in there as well for you. These are really great. I have different sizes of these. So right here, hold on. Yeah. Right here, I have a little one, and this is holding the stitches for the underarm of the vest. The pattern did have me binding them off, but then you have to come back around and pick them up again. So I decided that instead of binding them off, I would just knit them and then slip them onto the stitch holder. And when we get to the point where I'm doing the edging around the armhole, we're going to find out if that was a smart choice or not. Because this is a practice and I get to just experiment with things, right? I have this really big one. I have one of those for the middle back. Once I get to the point where I need to take that off this needle, that's what's going to happen there. I have a medium. I also have another. I have this big one over here. This one's holding the. It's holding the left shoulder and the yarn for the left shoulder to keep it from unraveling and rolling away. They're so handy. These also are, maybe not these really big ones, but some of the smaller ones. You can use these as shawl pins too. They're very handy. They're very clever. And they're good stuff. So those are my 5. These are my 5 favorites right now. My 2 different row counters, my cable needle, my crochet hook, and my tape measure, which you can get for free when you make your first regular price yarn order at perfectlynaughty.com while supplies last. At the time of recording this, the middle of June of 2025, I have probably 50 of these left. Maybe 50. So that's how you get one of those. And some of you might already have one. If you've got one of those, tell me in the comments. Got my tape measure. I have a Perfectly Naughty tape measure. I'd love to know if you have it, if you use it. All right, you guys. That was it for today. So I'd love to hear in the comments if you have knitting or crochet tools that you love. Do you have some that are nostalgic to you, that were your grandmothers or your aunties or some other very important stitcher in your life? It makes me feel a little bit more connected to my grandma when I use her tools. And I love that. It makes me, it's my roots, right? Project is coming along really well. Let's see if I can hold it up this way again. The direction that it will go. Of course, this is the smallest version, so it doesn't fit me. I mean, I probably could squeeze into it, but it wouldn't fit me to wear it. And there's the pocket. That'll line up over here. And then the hood will happen. And the trim around the front and the armholes. So it's really, I'm really enjoying this project, you guys. So there you have it. That is the update. Thanks for watching. And here's the last thing that I wanted to tell you about. If you enjoy these conversations with me, that here on YouTube, you are just watching and maybe you're participating in the chat a little bit. This one, I have one person that just now said, I think it's Vima. Is it Vima? I hope so. She said, hi, hello. Thank you for joining me. But here's the special thing that's going on. The Stitchery Collective. Stitchery Collective is a brand new membership that I am developing right now. Registration is open through the end of June of 2025. It is an annual membership where we are going to have weekly virtual sit and stitch Q&A sessions. And if you would like to be part of that community, when you're over at perfectlynaughty.com in the shop, go to classes and workshops and you will find the, she just found my channel. Well, thank you. I'm glad you're here. But when you go to perfectlynaughty.com/shop, click on classes and workshops, and I'll make sure that there's a link in the description. And then you can see Stitchery Collective, and you can get all the details there that have so far been worked out. And this is a founding member. This is a founding member opportunity. The price will never be as low as it is right now, because as we build and create it together, the value of it is going to go up and the price is going to go up. So I hope that you'll consider being part of that. While you're at the website, also, if you're not an email subscriber, subscribe, because then you get first information on things like Stitchery Collective and upcoming stitch alongs and other things like that. So that's it for today, you guys. The 5 favorite tools that we talked about, and the new Stitchery Collective membership that is getting ready to launch. So join me, follow me, subscribe, like, all the share, comment, all the YouTubey things. And I will see you guys next time. By then I should have back, hoping to have at least one shoulder joined, and then we'll move on to the next thing. Maybe it'll have both shoulders joined and I'll be working on the hood. Who knows? Who knows? You guys are awesome. I thank you. I love you. Mwah! Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Make beautiful things. As my shirt says, beautiful things are made one stitch at a time. Enjoy your stitching. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy the process. And I'll see you next time.